He sat at the edge of the patio, his dog-eared jacket buttoned up against the chill evening breeze, staring out at the fading light of a once grand life. The war medal still pinned to his chest caught the gold of the sun just before it slipped behind the hills. For a long minute, nothing moved. Then his quiet voice broke the hush. "They said I could no longer sit here." He told no one in particular, yet his words hung heavy in the air. That was the moment his world changed forever. Caleb Donovan was a man who had given everything. At 23, he joined the military, driven by a promise to protect, to serve, to make sense of a world that had hurt his younger sister and his mother when he was just a kid. The shouting, the fear, the loss of innocence all still haunted him, even now, decades later. Back home, he found himself in a town that remembered past glories but had moved on, leaving him anchored in memories no one else carried. When the landlord told him that he had to vacate the patio lounge he'd occupied every evening, "Reserve has someone else," he said. It wasn't just a chair or a corner lost. It was a symbol. For Caleb, it was the wound opening anew. The landlord didn't know the golden insignia beneath the jacket, the tremor in his fingers, the dreams he carried of lives saved and mates lost. He packed that jacket, walked away. Somewhere in his departure, 6 friends from the SEAL unit, the ones who'd laughed and cried and trained and bled alongside him, heard about it. They came home. One by one, they pulled up in pickup trucks and old vans, boots crunching on the patio's gravel, the sun low in the sky. They didn't knock. They stood, silent, uniform in their long shadows stretching out into dusk. Caleb turned to leave, but a voice, low, firm, brother to brother, said, "You're welcome to stay." The weight of the metals, the exhaustion in his bones, the loneliness he had wrapped around himself like an old blanket, all of it cracked. He sat down. They poured water, handed him a beer, asked no questions. They simply were there. Over the next weeks, the patio became theirs again. You could see 6 grizzled veterans, scars, laughs, tears, and Caleb in the middle, coat unbuttoned now, medals shining in the lamplight. They told stories of the desert, the sea, the blackout nights. They told of carrying each other out of minefields, of last messages to dying friends they couldn't save. And Caleb listened, shared, healed a little. Meanwhile, outside the patio, the town watched. Some rolled their eyes, some nodded respect. A waitress asked him his story one night, and he told her simply, "I lost more than they know, and I gained more than I thought possible." She didn't ask for details. She smiled and brought him more fries. But healing isn't linear. One night, the pain returned. Caleb sat silently while his friends watched the world go gray in his mind. The nightmares, the unwilling memory, the unbearable guilt, they marched in. He felt the old war fear again. The friend he couldn't save was there, right beside him. He froze. They asked him to stand. He didn't know if he could. His breathing caught. But his brother in arms, Ryan, whispered, "You're not alone this time." So he stood. The night air bit at his skin, but he held himself up. The old dog-eared jacket was on again, the metals heavy but in a sort of hopeful weight. He spoke of the intensity once, the endless adrenaline, the quiet death of hopes. He let himself cry. They didn't leave him. Together they watched the stars until the tremor in his voice faded. In the next weeks, Caleb started volunteering at the local veteran support group. He offered to share his story, once an act he believed would break him, now an act that might help others. The patio nights became community nights. Other folks came, young lost boys, old wounded men, families of fallen soldiers. They gathered around the long oak table where Caleb and his friends were already seated, and the old patio lit up with laughter, sorrow, sharing. One evening, a young woman approached Caleb. She clutched a photo in her hand. Her father's photo. He had been overseas, never home for her high school graduation, never held her baby. "He died," she said, voice trembling, "and now I don't know how to move on." Caleb looked at the picture. Then he looked at her. He told her how the medals didn't erase the pain. They didn't pretend it didn't happen. But they carried the promise to stand for something, to remember, to heal. And he offered her the chair. "Stay," he said. "Tell me about him." Months passed. The patio, once just Caleb's sanctuary, was now a hearth for many. The town began to see it differently. What looked at first like his retreat, his isolation, became a beacon of hope. The landlord stopped asking him to leave. Tests of age-old assumptions about veterans changed bit by bit. People asked for his signature on new memorials. Children who once stared in fear now corrected others. He's a hero. And Caleb? He laughed now more easily. His dog-ear jacket fits better. The medals rest easier against his heart. On the anniversary of the day the six friends first showed up, they lit candles around his chair. The sky was clear. They toasted to those gone, those here, and those yet to find the strength. Caleb raised his glass and said simply, "You saved me." But whispering in his heart was something else. "And now I choose to save others." The strong, inspiring message that lingered. War takes things. It takes silence, friendship, innocence. But healing comes in the presence of others. It comes when someone shows up with no agenda, just love and solidarity. It comes when we decide to turn our trauma into service, our scars into connection. Caleb's story reminds us, you may have been told to leave your chair, leave your place of honor, leave your life as you knew it. But when your brothers and sisters stand with you, when you let your pain become a bridge rather than a wall, you belong. And that patio, it wasn't just a piece of land. It was a home rebuilt, a community formed, a story of redemption, of coming back, of the human heart refusing to be broken alone. As the sky dark after dusk, the metals glint, the jacket buttons still rattle. But now when Caleb looks out, he doesn't see the end of the fight. He sees the beginning of something greater, the beginning of hope.